Hello, everyone, and welcome. If you can hear me loud and clear, please do let me know in the comments box so we can start on a very good note. I can see already here we have Crafts PK saying, "How are you?" I'm okay. I'm very fine. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Right. Today I'll be reviewing about 7 websites. This is because this show was supposed to be on yesterday, but unfortunately I wasn't able to deliver it because I was having network problems. I'm also moving office, so that impacted the show yesterday. So apologies for that if you were waiting for me to appear on yesterday's show. Right. So today I'll be taking a look at 7 websites, as I mentioned, and it's going to be quite interesting because these websites are all unique, and so it's going to be really, really exciting. Now, this show is made possible by DiviCake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link to that is in the description below, so go ahead and check it out. These are Divi themes, by the way. All right, so let me just make sure that my sound is fine. Okay, looks like our sound is perfect. Excellent. Like I said, I'm going to be reviewing 7 websites, and please, if you have any comments or anything to say about the websites that I'm reviewing, or if you have any questions, please do leave those questions in the comments box below, and we can all discuss this as a community. So I'm really excited about this. Okay, Hasib says, good to see you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Nice to see you too. We also have One Line at a Time. Awesome. Mark is also joining us. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, right. So let's get started with our first website. Okay, so this is the first website. Now, this website is in Russian, I think. I'm not sure, so maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, you know, I'll just pretty much take a look at this more from a design point of view. So I don't think the language really matters. Now, this website was submitted by Audrey. And also, by the way, if you want to submit your websites for review, I have a link in the description below. So just go to that link and submit your website. And the way I review these websites, it's all going to be according to how they are submitted. So if your website is not reviewed yet, please be patient. I will get to it. Like I said, today I'm starting with 7. The past previous reviews, I've been doing 4 reviews per episode. So today I'm starting with 7, and hopefully I'll be able to do even more than 7 just to catch up with them, because there's quite a lot that have been submitted, and I'm sure you are enjoying these reviews. So thank you very much for that. Okay, so this is the website. So the first thing I want to talk about here is the actual logo. The background here of these clouds is quite light. Okay, so you can't really have yellow because it's not very visible. The logo is fine. I like it, but it's the color is way too close to the background. Therefore, it is not easy to see or to read. So what I would do in this situation is I would change that color of the logo into maybe a dark blue so that that color appears well on that background. So right now it doesn't seem to work very well, especially with some monitors which are like maybe old monitors. This would not look even very clear. So that's the first thing I would do here. Regarding this image here, I'll assume that this is a website to do with maybe some sort of tourism or something to do with holidays. So the image that was chosen here is perfect. It looks fine, and so I don't have any issues with the image. And also here, the text, the font that was chosen here is fine as well. That's great. Now moving on, I mean, this area here is beautiful. I like the way this is created. And also looking here, separating these sections using a subtle color is a fantastic idea, and definitely this works right here. So this is really, really good. And also the way these blurbs are distributed on this section, we can all see that they're all the same height here on the bottom, on the top. They're also the same size. I think that is very, very good. Now, when we move further down here, we see that I think these are the holidays or resorts that people can click to book. These now, I think they could do with making them even bigger, because right now they're very shrunk, they're very small, but making them bigger makes the visitor to the website even see more of that resort, because as you can see here, these are beautiful images. So I would definitely make these slightly bigger so that they cover most of this space here, just like how we have the layout here on the top. So that's what I will definitely do here to make this page look better. Now, moving further down to the next section, this is perfect. I like this image here. It's in line with what this website does. And also here, the text that accompanies it is also brilliant. So as you can see here, there's something that I've picked up as well, and this is something that I've always been talking about in the previous reviews, and that is if you're going to choose a width on your website, make sure that that width is the same throughout the whole page design, because right now I can see on the top here, the width here is closer to the edge, and then if I scroll down, of course, we've lost it here, and then here as well, it's not in line, okay? So the width here, which has this content, needs to pretty much be in line where it's all in a sort of like a bounding box. Okay, so that increases the consistency of your page design. So make sure you have that. So I know right now it's a bit subtle, but definitely that needs to be done here. Okay, but other than that, this image is brilliant. Now, when we take a look at this image here, this is where the consistency breaks, because now we have this bright blue. And secondly, the size of the image here is now even different. So we want to make sure that we maintain design consistency when we design all our sections. So ideally, what would happen here is this text here that we have on the right, on this blue section, needs to be on the left, just to pretty much sort of like not mirror, but follow the design that we have here on the top. So instead of having the text here on the right, have it on the left. And then on the right here, you want to have the same size image that we have on this section on this right. So that actually balances the design. So this is very, very important, because now this page is not consistent anymore in terms of the sections, because we've now used a different size image here on the bottom. Okay, moving on. Again, we see that now we're using different sizes and different styles. There's nothing wrong with this layout. The problem is there's no consistency, okay? Because in design, there's what is known as repetition. So repetition could be done in the way you lay out things. So this definitely has lost that pattern of repetition in terms of the designs on the sections. Okay, so that's what I would change here. Now you see these two actually work. Okay, so these two here work because they're pretty much reflecting what we have here on the top. But again, the width is the problem, because now we have everything sort of like all in a very small width, and yet the other content is on a wider width. So this is what we need to make sure is consistent. Okay. But otherwise, what has been done here is actually okay, because we have text, image, image, text, text, image. So this is fine. The only thing I would want to say here is make sure that sizes of the image that are used here are the same. Okay, I'm going to take a quick look here and see if I have any questions on Okay, so far there are no questions. I'm just going to check here again on Facebook. Right. If you can all do me a favor as well and share this live stream, I would really, really appreciate it, because by doing that, even more people can benefit from this live stream. Okay, so back over here, let me just take a look one more time. Okay, no questions. Okay, so moving on with this review. Now, if I take a look at this last section, we notice that now the text has changed And again, this is something that needs to be addressed because you have to consistently use the same sort of fonts throughout your website. So this font now is an introduction to this page, which wasn't, this type of font was not there before. And even if I come over here to the top, there's nowhere on this page that this text was used. So I would get rid of that text and just make it simple and use pretty much this text here that we've had consistently throughout the whole page. Okay, so other than that, this is a beautifully laid page. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly go through and see if there's anything I can point out here. Right. So this page here, unfortunately, I can't read what it is, but there's too much now happening here on the top. I would actually fade this image here in the background. I would really fade it and make this search panel here on the front page be the prominent thing that needs to be addressed or needs to be seen by the visitor that comes to the page. Because right now, a lot is going on now here. This is not working. The image here in the background is overpowering the content that we have here on the front. So ideally, this needs to be what people focus on when they get to the page. So I would dim this image here, make it very light, and focus more on this. And also, I don't know why this color has been used. It looks like a gray, but here on the front page, that search panel is in blue. I would actually keep that consistency and have it in blue every time, wherever it is referenced on each and every page, because it then makes it easier for people to recognize it on the other pages, just like how I pointed it out right now. Again, on this section, this image here in the background, it's blending way too much with this content right here. So again, I would actually even not use an image in this case and use this light gray that we used on the front page on this section. Okay, and I don't know why we have this search thing again here. It looks like a repetition, but if I could read this, maybe this is a specific search. I'm not sure because I can't read this language. But if it's the same thing, there's no need to have it here again on this section. And as you can see, these images are way too dark and they don't seem to work with this search thing. And down here on the bottom, this looks okay. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look at a few more pages. Right, the font here now that is used is, I would go in, I think maybe you might need to do this via CSS or whatever plugin this is. You need to go in and fix the font because this is way too small. Okay, so you want to make sure that your body text is the same size as what we have here on the form or even slightly bigger to make it easier for people to navigate through your website and find what enter the information much easier, because this information here is way too small. And what I've also noticed is I'm not sure if you're using a color palette, but the blues that you're using are all different types of blues. I would have like maybe blues that follow or are chosen from a palette. That would make it even easier to balance the colors on the actual website. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Right, again, we have this big space here in the middle. Ideally, you want to make sure that your section has enough padding that it doesn't leave this gap here in the middle. Okay, so this needs to be addressed because it doesn't really look presentable here on this page. So I would really go in and fix that. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look at a few more pages here. Okay, so this seems okay. Beautiful. Again here, if you're going to be centering things, make sure you center them left or make them in line with the text that we have here, and maybe balance this page by adding also an image. But right now, in fact, I was quite impressed with the way this page was put together, but I changed my mind as soon as I got to this area right here. Okay, so we can see here that this information is not aligned, is not in line with anything else on this page. So that needs to be addressed. And again, if we take a look here, this section here is closer here to the edge because I can see that the width of this section here, which has 2013, 14, 17, and 18, is not the same width size as what we have here in this section where we have this image. So you want to make sure that your sections are the same. And again, I've spoken about this on the first page, that these images need to be the same size. So you can actually achieve this by going into Photoshop and making sure that these images are the same size. Okay. But the idea of laying out the page that way is actually fantastic because it makes the page balanced. So it's a good idea, but just make sure the sizes are the same. Okay, so further down here, I think this is fine. This is okay. Okay, let me just go ahead and choose another page. Right. I'm sure this is clear enough, but you can see that we have a problem here. The borders are cutting text, and the text size here that is used is small. So you want to make sure that you use the same size text, body text throughout the whole website, because this text is way too small, and the border that you've applied here is also cutting into the text. So I would go in and address that. But other than that, I really like the design of this blog layout. I think it's really nice, especially when you start adding even more content here on this page. So this is a great effort, and this is brilliant. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the last page now and also go in and take a look at the comments. Now, this page I think is brilliant. I like the way this contact form is added onto this page. I think this is brilliant. And over here, the map is fine. So this contact page actually works. I like it. So all in all, this is a well put together website. But like I said, you need to address those things that I've mentioned just to make sure that it takes this design to the, and make it even more professional. But overall, in my opinion, this was great. I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if there's any comments. Mark here says map at the bottom of the home page is very small and should they be on home pages or better on contact pages? Yeah, the maps should be on contact pages. I agree, Mark. And let me just go back to this website because I think I may have missed that. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the home page. Oh, absolutely. So well pointed out there, Mark. Thank you very much for that. Now, this map here ideally should not be there, to be honest, because first of all, it's too small and you can't see the information here clearly. But what you've done here on the contact page is even better because we can actually see more of what is happening here on the map. So I would get rid of it on the footers and just put something else instead. Okay. So thank you very much, Mark, for pointing that out. Right. Okay. So moving on, we're going to move on to the next website, and this was submitted by Abhishek, I think. Abhishek. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Okay. So this is the website that I'll be reviewing next. Very interesting. Okay, now before I go ahead and do the review of this website, if you're just joining us, this is the show where I do reviews of websites that are submitted by the community, and that is yourself. So if you want to submit your own website, please do so by going to the link in the description below. That should just take you to a page where you can enter your name and your website. And I will review these websites as they in the order they come in, so that it's fair for everyone. So go ahead and do that. And today I'll be reviewing 7 websites. I've already done one that was submitted by Andre. So this is just so that I can cover quite a lot, because a lot of submissions have been added now to be reviewed. But definitely, I like the challenge of reviewing websites on the go like that, and hopefully this also helps you pick up a few suggestions. So just because your website is not the one being reviewed, it doesn't really matter, because you can get to see what makes a design work from a design point of view. So I really appreciate you taking your time out to watch this, because it will definitely help you in your designs. Okay, and also if you want to learn how to design websites using Divi, I have a course which has a discount. Again, that information is in the description box below. Right, let's dive in and let us do this review. Right, so this is the website. To be honest, on this main section here, in fact, let's see, this is a slider. So I'm going to slide through and see what the slider has. Right, so there's just two images here. Now, this image right here, I think it needs to show more of what this website is about. I can see here from the title, it's CrossFit and Rush. So we want to see more of the CrossFit. I mean, like people working out, people training. That's more of what we want to see here on the slider. So what I would actually do here is I would actually increase the size of the slider, just so that we see more information. And secondly, this image that was used here is not high res, so it doesn't really work. I would use an image which is high res, and that covers most of this area here. So, and then if I scroll back here, this text here is way too big. I know you want to make it as a call to action, but what I would do here is, again, I would have like maybe a group of people working out here in the back, and then make that image dark, slightly dark, or even choose a part of this slider and make that a dark gradient, so that we can read this text. And obviously we want to reverse this text and make it even white for that matter. So I use this website Netflix as a reference. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly come over here to Netflix and show you what I mean, because this is very, very important when it comes to showing your information on the page. Right, so okay, so I'm just going to choose some titles here. So let's say even this one here. Okay, the first one here. You can see the background here is light, and then the text is made dark. So that works. Again here, the background is light, and then the text used here is dark. So that definitely works. So that's what you want to do there. Find an image, and you can actually go into Photoshop and go into the area that you want to make, that you want to add your text. Make that light in Photoshop, so that when you bring the image, you can just bring it in, and then add the text titles where that area is light. So that makes it really stand out and makes it easier to read. Again, we can see here the use of a gradient on extinction. The gradient here is done on the bottom to make this text easier to read. So this is the trend throughout, throughout all these titles of these movies or programs are very, very easy to read. Again, here we can see it on Designated Survivor, same thing. So that's exactly what you need to do here to make this really stand out and to make it easier for us to see what this website is about. The other thing that I also work on is your value proposition. What is this website about, and what is the call to action? I can see here 3 for the price of 2, but what 3? That's the question I would ask. What 3 for the price of 2? So that is not clear. So I would work on your value proposition and just make that message very, very clear what it is that you want the visitor to the website to achieve, or what it is that your website offers. Okay, moving on. If I scroll down here, there's a lot of white space used here, and you can see here this lady, it looks like she was cut off. So I would actually use a color here on this section here on the bottom to really separate this and make it look much better, because it just looks like there's just too much white around here, and that is not making the page well balanced. Okay, so moving on here, Now we can see the use of this light gray works because now we've separated this section, and that looks fine. And I also like what is done here. You're pretty much mirroring what is happening here on the top. That's really great. Now, moving on, I like the way that you've used these images in the background because they are dark and your text is light. This is what I was trying to demonstrate when I showed you the Netflix website. The only thing I would do here is to make this text even bigger so it's easier to read, because right now it's way too small. And yeah, I would say throughout this text needs to be made even bigger. Okay. This is fine. And the coaches here, I like the way you've done the coaches and also that fun animation. That I think that is brilliant. Okay. And then over here, I can see the use of color is great. Hopefully this is what you've done throughout the whole website, but I like the colors that you've used here on the pricing. That is great. Workout of the day, I think this could be made even more fancy by maybe adding icons to make this even stand out more, because it just looks like a bunch of text and it looks like it's just coming from in fact it's coming from a blog post. So I would actually have an image here that goes with this title. Now moving on, we can see here we have a problem with the slider. There's a big gap here, so I would go ahead and address that immediately because it doesn't really look nice there. Okay, and these are the testimonials. I like the idea of this, of having this slider, but I would actually go in and just address that. And also, if you're going to have these testimonials, make sure that they all have images so that everything is the same, because I'm pretty sure I saw a testimonial here without an image. Or maybe the image was just loading. Perhaps that's the case. But anyway, I like the way this is done. I would just reduce this gap that we have here. Otherwise, this is a great use of testimonials. It's different and it's unique. And over here, the use of this divider, I think, is also really good. It's unique and it really balances the page really, really well. And here, what you've done with the contact page, again, is fantastic, because quite a lot of designs that I've noticed so far is they pretty much use the contact form as it is on the actual module. But what you've done here is brilliant because you've made this unique to your website. So this is great, and great job there. Right, so I'm just going to go in and take a look at some of these inside pages. Wow. I think this is great. I like this, the way this is this page title is done. The only thing is this image right here is pixelated. I can see it through this gradient. So I would go in and fix that problem. Otherwise, what you've done here with this section divider, I think, is brilliant. Okay. I've spoken about this already, so this needs to be addressed, this slider here. Okay, so let's see if this page titles trend is throughout this whole website. So I'm going to go to the pricing. Fantastic. So again, the pricing page here is, all these pages are following pretty much the same sort of style here on the top. I like this. This is brilliant. Okay. Okay, that's fantastic. Coaches. Now, for this coaches page, I would actually follow the same trend that we're having here with the page titles, because it just makes your website consistent. So let me take a look here. The classes. Right, this is fantastic. Now, the use of color. I'm sure you all agree with me that the way color is used throughout this calendar here is fantastic, because the color here is like, let's say for CrossFit, I can see here that this is the same color that's used for CrossFit. Endurance is a different color. BootFit is also a different color here. So I think this is actually done very well. And this is what I talk about in most cases when it comes to color, that when you use color correctly, it really communicates a great message and it makes it easier for the eye when people get to the website. And I'm sure you agree with me when we take a look at this page. Right, so what I'm going to do quickly here is I'm going to take a look at some questions and see if if we have anything here. We have Fifi, who's just joined us, saying hello, good day, greetings from Accra. Good to see you, Fifi. Awesome. Mark says, what DPI is high res? For any screen size on devices, whether it's a smartphone, a computer, or any sort of screen, 72 DPI is standard. So what you need to do is not to increase the DPI, but to actually use an image which is of high res. And now what I mean by high res is the dimension. So let's say most cameras now pretty much take more than 4K in terms of the image size, right? So I would actually use those images and resize them to fit, like, let's say a 1920 by 1080 width. But what most people are doing, or a few people that I've noticed so far are doing, is they're taking an image which is small and try to fit it in a large space. And this is how the image becomes pixelated. So that is the issue here. I think it's the name here is Girish, says, I would like you to review my website also. Yes, if you'd like to me to review your website, please do submit your website. The link to that is in the description. So you can go ahead and do that in the description, and I will add your website to the list of websites that I'm reviewing. Okay, awesome. I'm just going to take a quick look here on Facebook as well and see if there's any questions. Oh, Rambo says he doesn't see the link to submit. Okay, sorry about that. The link is on the Facebook. I'm actually broadcasting both on Facebook and also on YouTube. So the link is on YouTube. So I'm just going to copy the link here and send it over to you. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's the link. Awesome. Okay. Right. So moving on. Okay. So moving on. Again, if we take a look here at the bottom, what our members are saying. In fact, I've spoken about this. There's no need for me to keep going over and over, something that I've addressed. But this needs to be, the size here between these two testimonials needs to be addressed. And also, this website may look better on, let's say, a smaller screen. So this is actually very important when you design your websites, that you actually make sure that they look great on all devices. Okay, so what is BootFit? Let's take a look at this page. Okay, great. Now, again, if we take a look here at the top, this image here is not working because pretty much you've got the back of this lady's head, and it's not really showing anything. So I would go in and use high-res images and images that relate to what it is on the page. But the idea of having this section divider is fantastic. So this is the image I would change, because definitely this is not working. Just make sure that you use high-res images, and make sure that you use also images that relates to what this page is about. But other than that, over here, I think you've done a great job of even this section here. I think this is fantastic. And as you can see, this information here on the top, on this section here, is in line in terms of the width. So the page becomes balanced. And this is what I talk about most of the time here. And I've noticed that is a trend. Most people are not really following that rule. So that section is balanced because everything is within that space. So this needs to be something that needs to be followed throughout all the pages. So this is fantastic the way it's done here. But then as soon as I come here to the bottom, it loses that. So this is why even these testimonials need to be, pretty much bound by some sort of size of the width. Okay, and moving on, let's take a look here. Yeah, I think this is fine. Contact. Again, I think this is okay because you have a contact form here on the bottom. Yeah, I think this contact page is fine, but as you can see, this image here is pixelated, and I know I've mentioned this before, but that's what you want to address because this CrossFit and Rush, I think, oh, CrossFit Land Rush. Sorry about that. I kept on calling it CrossFit and Rush. So it's CrossFit Land Rush. So you want to make sure that there's a lot of images here that show the CrossFit, the training, and all of that, because that is what's going to sell the viewer of your website. So those are the sort of images that you want to invest in. So that's what I would do. And let's take a look here at the gallery. Yes, no, right. So as you can see here on this image, when I talk about high-res images, you can see that this image here definitely is way different to the images that we have on the other pages on the section. So this actually works. And what maybe something that I would do here is, rather than have this text here in the middle, I would actually have it here on the left. Okay, so I think that'll be a better place to have the page titles. But other than that, this image is fantastic because it works. Okay, and then here we have all the images. I would actually make even this section even bigger so that it takes even more space, closer here to around this, maybe 80, maybe even 70 or 80% width, to make sure that these images are nice and big. Okay, so these images are going to Instagram. Okay, that's fine. I guess maybe that's what you prefer. Free intro. Let's see what's happening here on the free intro. Again, this is a beautiful picture. Now you see this image here shows more of what is happening here. So I think this is a great use of this image. Again, I would just make it, I'll just make sure that this is high res as well, because I can see it's slightly pixelated. But the idea here is great because it's showing more of what is happening here on this page. So I really, really like this image. I think this is fantastic. So that's what you need to do throughout all these page titles and throughout the whole website. Make sure that you use high-res images and also work on your value proposition. And what I also noticed here, which is the final thing, is the logo. Make sure the logo is high-res. I can see here the logo is slightly pixelated. Maybe I would even reduce the size of the logo in Divi and not make it way too big. Maybe that could solve that problem. Okay. And let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, the value proposition. That's one thing I'll also work on. I would go in and work on the value proposition. But other than that, I think you've done a great effort in putting this design together. Just go ahead and make those tweaks and your website will be really good. Now, before I move on to the next website, I'd like to take a quick look and see if there's any suggestions from the community. Okay, there's nothing so far. Okay. All right, so this episode is made possible by divicake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link to that is in the description below. And if you're just joining us, if you want to submit your website, the link is in the description below. So go ahead and submit your website and I will do my best to review your website. Okay, so let's move on to the third website, and this website was submitted by Andrew. Okay, so this is the website. So first impressions, I think it's great. Straight away, just by looking at this, we can tell what sort of website it is. I'm not sure here about the value proposition. Who's ready to get down? I don't know. I don't think that works, to be honest. I think there needs to be more of a message that goes along with it to just let us know what the website is about. Is it about live shows? Is it about learning how to play music instruments? What is it about? So I think that is very important here. Okay, so as I scroll down here, Oh, I see. So this is a wedding band. Wow. Actually, to be honest, I think this page, this website is well put together. What I would do here is, instead of letting your user sift through the website and try and work out what your website does, that needs to be specified right here on this main section, because it's not very clear what the website is about. It's not very clear, what you want, what the call to action is. And so the value proposition is very, very important. And also, I've noticed here that I only see the logo when I scroll down. I would actually change that. I think the logo will be actually even better if the logo is there before I start scrolling. So the logo needs to be visible at all times. Okay. And as I scroll down here, the logo is way too big. I would just make it smaller so that it leaves some enough padding between this header area here. So I'll just make this slightly smaller, but that's a slight tweak, and that will just make this even better. But other than that, if I take a look here at this page, it's well put together, it's well designed. I like the use of white space. I like even the way the logo here has been added. Oh, even the logo itself, I think the logo is beautiful. And scrolling down, of course, I'm not going to play this video, but it's well laid out. And over here, the parallax, the use of parallax, I think is great. Now, over here, there's one thing that I would like to say, and that is the padding here on the top and the padding here on the bottom does not work. Make sure that this text here is more centered here, and so that it just balances the message. It looks like there's missing information if you put everything all the way here to the top. But other than that, I think this is great use of the image, and also the way this section has been put together. I think this is great. Okay, so moving on. Right, this is fine. Right, something that I've picked up here is your body text size. I think you could do with making it slightly bigger, because right now it's just way too small. Okay, make it bigger, and that should improve this page as well. Now moving on, the text here again is way too close to the edge. I would bring it in a bit. And as you can see here, this has now created this problem where we have too much white space. Okay, it looks like something is missing on this page. So I would actually move all this text more here to the center, and that would balance that section. Over here, the image is fine. And going down, I like the way you've pretty much mirrored what is happening on these sections. So here we have the image on the right, and then over here on this section, we have the image on the left. I think that's great. And this text again, I would center it on this white, on this space here, because right now it looks like a lot of information is missing. Okay, this section here, which says listen, I think this is well put together. I think this is fantastic. The only thing that I would fix here is the word listen. I would actually add more padding so that it's not too close to the edge. Maybe it's a design element. If that's the case, okay, that's fine. But this needs to be consistent throughout the whole page then, if you're going to be having these titles to the sections like this. Because over here now we can see that videos now looks different. So make sure that if this is the style that you're going to have on all your sections, it basically translates to all the sections on your page. So this is why I was suggesting that maybe this could pretty much have some padding to the top, similar to what you have here on videos. Okay, and also it's not centered, so I would center it so that your page looks balanced. Right, this is fine. The way these videos are put together, that's okay. Right, so with these videos here, I can see there's an attempt to actually create an image overlay. That's a very good move, but you know what? you could make this even better by using image overlays of high-res images rather than using these pixelated images or an image that you've chosen from the actual video. So make sure you use images, and I'm sure you have these images because you have used these images here, and it looks like you have original images that you could add to your page. So that's what I would do to these image overlays for your videos. Okay. And this here, I know it's a great effort to create your page this way. Your contact page this way. But what I would do here is I would actually have a faded image because it looks like the text here is pretty much going into the heads of these band members. So I would actually change that, maybe even have the band members over here to the left and have your form over here to the right, because this doesn't just look right, when someone starts entering their information and it's covering the heads of these band members. But other than that, I think this is a great effort. The website looks really nice. So I would just make those few tweaks, and I think you're off to a very, very good start here. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to the bio and take a look at the bio page. Right. Just by looking at this page, I would actually make section this page and make it look even much better. Maybe have, first of all, this text needs to be slightly bigger. It's too small. And then I would actually arrange this information here in a much easier way to read, because right now, even the images that you're using here, they're not in the same sort of like width. And it looks like these images here are just placed on this text. So I would really design this page and make it look much better, because this could be made even more interesting. Maybe have a section here, or even have an image here in the background which is faded. That could look even better. Okay, videos. Let's take a look at the videos page. Okay, so this videos page is fine. Yep, I think this is great. Okay, great image. And it's also showing what it is here, which is the weddings. Great. Yep, I think this page is well put together. I like it. Yep, I think this is fantastic. I like the way this page is put together. Okay, over here on the FAQ. Again, this FAQ I think is great. But what I would do here is I would just add a border on these FAQs, because on the top here, it's not easy to see. But the idea of having this image in the background, I think, is fantastic. So job well done there. Okay, on the set list. Yep, I like that. That's great. And then finally, on the contact page. Okay, so it looks like this is an anchor link, which just goes straight down to this section area. Okay, overall, I think this page, this website is well put together. It's great. I like the use of images. I like the use of colors. It's very consistent throughout. I would pretty much do a few of those tweaks that I mentioned. Make sure that your text is slightly bigger, your body text, and also just take care of those few things that I've mentioned. But other than that, this website is well put together. Okay. So I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if we have any questions. Mark also says very professional images. Great. I agree with you, Mark, there as well. I think this is good. Fifi says, I see consistency in text alignment. I suggest stick to one style, especially the homepage. Yes, I would agree with that too. Great. All right. So I'm just going to take a quick look here on Facebook as well and see if there's any questions. Okay, no questions here on Facebook. Right, so if you're just joining us and you'd like your website reviewed, there's a link in the description box below. Go ahead and click that link and submit your website for review. All right, so we are now moving on to the next website, and this one was submitted by Sebastian. Right, so let's take a look at Sebastian's website. Right, so this is Sebastian's website. I like this. Okay, so my first impression is I like the website. I like the page layout. Now, let's take a look at this page. First of all, in the top here where it says Trust Inventory, I think you need to reverse this logo and make this text white because it's on a slightly dark background. So I would use white, and it's very easy. It's very easy to reverse this logo because it's mostly text. So when it comes to logos, you want to have different versions of the logo. A dark version, which can be used on light backgrounds. A dark version of the logo, which can be used on light backgrounds. A logo which has color, and a logo that can be used on with different colors of your color palette or your branding. So in this case, this is where this would really work. So I would reverse these colors here and make them white. So that would really make this look nice. Okay, 2-hour delivery, super fast delivery on all property inventory reports, including check-in and check-out. Okay, I think that's good, but I would also give this maybe a title to what this page is about or what this website is about. So maybe inventory inspections, maybe have this here as the title. So it becomes inventory inspections, 2-hour delivery, 2-hour delivery, super fast delivery on all property inventory reports, including check-in and check-out. So that would work. So give this a title because 2-hour delivery, it's not clear what that is. And in terms of design, the way you've made this bold, it looks like a delivery service. Okay, so just make sure you add a title to this to just to give this context. And this call to action here, maybe this could be below this text here, and then make this video even bigger, because this here is quite important, because I guess this is where you talk about, you know, your services. So this video here should cover most of this area where this button is. So your call to action below this text here, and this video here, make it even bigger to cover this area here. So I think that would make it great. Okay. Hello, watch our video. I don't think that is necessary, Sebastian, because most people now, when they go on websites and they see a play button, they are mostly inclined to click that. So there's no need to say, hello, watch our video. And in fact, the text that you've used here on hello, watch our video, it's not consistent with the text that you have throughout your website. So I would get rid of that image that you've used there. Okay, so moving on. In fact, let me see. Looks like a great video, to be honest. So that's what I would do here on this section. And the image here, what you've done on the image, I think is great to use your main branding color and then have the image in the background. I think that is great. Right, so moving on. Over here, I think this is fine. I would make the text, your body text, slightly bigger, because right now it's a bit too small. I would make it slightly bigger and make the icons even bigger as well. And maybe even the width of your content area needs to be slightly bigger as well. My rule of thumb is I use about 70% for my content width and sometimes 80% depending on my design. So that's what I would do here. Now, moving on, if we take a look here at the trusted partners, this is not working because first of all, we have logos here that are pixelated and they're all different sizes. Okay, like look at this one here. So this is something that I would address by using maybe Photoshop or any image image editing software, make sure that these sizes, these icons are the same size. Okay, so that makes this page really look even much better. I mean, this section actually, because over here on the top, everything was looking good. But the moment you come here on the trusted partners, you know, everything just gets, you know, much bigger. And this is where I would really go into Photoshop, resize these images and make them pretty much the same size. Okay. And moving on, everything else here I think looks fine. That's great. Now you see the image overlays that you've used here are much better, because they just show a high-res image. So that's a job well done. Okay. And over here as well, the text is way too small. I would make the text bigger. And as I mentioned, the section, you know, the section that has these videos, I think could be made even bigger and maybe have a different color, because now we have too much white. If you take a look here from where we say our trusted partners all the way down here, it's just way too much white going on. And also our trusted partners here, this is your section title. Let's see if you use the same font. You see, you don't use the same font. So over here, you've used this font for our trusted partners. And by the way, you want to make sure that you have enough padding here. So just to give this a bit of breathing space. Okay. So this font that you've used here is not used anywhere else as a section title. See, it's not used there. So I would go in and address that. If you're going to be using this font, make sure it's the same font throughout all the sections as your section titles. And don't just use a font once on your page. Now, moving on over here, I think this is also great, but you've left a massive gap here between these two logos. Again, I would make them the same size just to make them look, you know, consistent. And then over here on the bottom, what our customers say. Again, this text is way too small. I would make it bigger, and it would be nice if you have images that go with these testimonials. That's what makes these testimonials stand out. Try and get images to go with your testimonials. And moving on here, this is image here is not used correctly. It's too pixelated. And secondly, it's just showing parts of, the roof of the house. That doesn't even tell us anything, to be honest. So I would get rid of this image here completely, because it's not really making things even better in terms of this message that we have here. Okay, so that button you've used on the bottom is not consistent with the button that you've used here on the top. So these are the little things that make your design stand out. So I don't know why you chose to have this type of button, and yet you haven't used it here on the top. So make sure that as you use all these design elements, they're all consistent throughout your page, throughout your website. So it's very important that you follow the same sort of trend. Okay, so let's see. The footer here is, yeah, it's okay. Right, so let's go on to the services. In fact, this website has a lot of pages. I'll just go through the main ones. Again, over here, this is meant to be page title. So all these icons that you have here, I don't think they're working, because if I go back to the home page, the icons that you used here are not consistent with the icons that you're using on this page. Okay, so it's a total disconnect. So use one type of icon throughout the whole website. Otherwise, your page now is all over the place. There's so much now going on. So again, here on the top as well, this area here is meant for page titles and not really to add, this information here. So this could actually come here on the bottom and not here on the top where the page title goes. And again, this button here now has a background. I don't know why this now has a background, because that has not been done before on your website. So having this background here doesn't really work. Just have your button consistent throughout the whole website. And as I mentioned, these icons here need to be the same as the icons we have on the main page. And this information needs to be here on the bottom, and leave this area here as the area for your page titles. Okay, moving on. And this image here that we have on inventory sample, we can't even have, we can't even see what it is on this area here. So we need to see more of the sample. Maybe have it as a PDF so people can see it, because right now it's not even an example of inventory. We can't really see it. Okay, so I would put more work into fixing that. Now here, this could be made even better by maybe having an image here, because I've seen now an introduction of this dark gray. I know it's on the footer, but hopefully we'll be able to see this throughout the whole page. Over here, again, you've changed your icons. Now these are the standard icons that we have in Divi. So it's now different to what we have here on the top. So you can see that this page is all over the place in terms of design. And over here on the bottom, again, we have another issue. Over here on the main page, we have these icons on a white background, and all of a sudden now we have them now on this gray background part of the footer. So this definitely doesn't work. And also I would reduce the size of these icons. And I don't know why you have this as an image gallery, but I would pretty much follow what we had on the other page. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at another page here. Right. Again, this is following the same trend. I've pretty much talked about here we have attention to detail. What detail are you paying attention to? It needs to be specific. Okay. Letting agents. Again, you've introduced a different color here, and it looks like the use of colors here is not working. Definitely it's not working, because you're starting now to introduce so many colors. Landlords. Yeah, I mean, you're introducing so many colors, and I doubt that all these colors are all from the color palette. And if they are, you're using way too many colors here. See? So I would go in and revise the colors. And again, what you've done here is now this button doesn't have a background. So as you can see, there's a lack of consistency in terms of design throughout your website. Make sure that you choose a specific color palette and use these colors throughout the whole website. So if you're going to have page titles, make sure you have page titles that have a specific color and a specific design. If you're going to use icons, make sure you use a specific icon or an icon style throughout the whole website. And also the fonts, make sure you're using the fonts that are consistent throughout the whole website. That is very, very important. Right, I'm just going to come over here to pricing. Okay, so this is fine, but you know what? Now, because you're talking about inventory and all of that, I would actually have an image that is faded here in the background as you did on your home page, because now this is just way too much color. Yeah, so I would minimize these bright colors and just use like an image or a faded image in the background, which has this information here that supports it. So that's what I would do on this page. Okay, let's go to the About page. Again, the use of icons is now changed for the third time. So this needs to be addressed, the icons. This image that is used here is pixelated, and I can't see what this image has to do with the company. Maybe it's something I'm missing, but if this image here relates to the company, I would make sure that that image is high res. And then over here, okay, this is fine. And I don't know why we have this gap here, this white space. It looks like something is missing. So I would go ahead and address that. Okay, let's go to the jobs page. Okay, the only thing I would say here is the text needs to be slightly bigger. And then finally, we're going to take a look at the contact page. And again, the icons here are different. Okay, great. You've also used a map there. Brilliant. Okay, so in fact here as well, I would have an image here on the contact page, which is fading in like how you did it on the main page, just to support that page, because the color here is it's now just way too much color. Okay, so that's what I would do on this page. So overall, great effort. But as I mentioned, as I go in throughout the rest of the pages inside your website, we are now losing consistency. So I would pretty much start off with what you did on the main page and then apply those design elements throughout the rest of the pages. So these are the buttons. The way you use your buttons, you have 3 different types of buttons and button styles. You also have 3 types of icon styles that needs to change. And also the way you're using your images and color, that also needs to be addressed. Choose a color palette that is professional and that goes with your industry. I mean, blue is definitely a plus. That needs to be there. But just make sure you have those things in place. And also resize all these icons here because they don't look really professionals. Resize everything and make sure they're not pixelated. By doing that, your website will look much, much better. Okay. I'm going to take a quick look here and see what we have here on the questions. Dash Gear says, I have a question regarding Divi. How can I send contact emails to more than one recipient? That cannot be done in Divi. Oh, in fact, no, it can't be done. The contact form only sends to one person at a time. But what I would do is if you wanted to send multiple emails, you would use an email autoresponder like MailChimp or ConvertKit. That is what makes it easier for you to send emails, broadcast your emails to more than one person. But using Divi, that cannot be achieved. Okay. Right, so let's move on to the next website. So this was submitted by Sebastian. Now, the next website we're going to take a look at is submitted by Imran. Okay, so this is the website that was submitted by Imran. Looks very interesting. Hassle-free WordPress maintenance. Save your time. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to say on this section is reduce the size of the width of this text module. If it's a text module, there's a way to reduce the width because this sentence here is going way too wide. Okay. Make sure you fix that. I like the use of the icons here and how you've laid out your page. But what I'm noticing now is the use of dividers. It's going really crazy now because over here, this is beautiful. I like the way you've done it here. So make sure that is consistent throughout your page. That is the good use of these dividers because now you've changed it there. And I know you're trying to bring focus on this area here. I can see what you're trying to do. And as we scroll down here, again, we see that we have a different type of divider. And this color here, I don't think these two colors here are from the same color palette. So I would go back and really revise the colors that we're using here. In fact, you could get away with using even a really dark gray here. But these two don't seem to be working well next to each other. But other than that, this page is unique. I like this design. I like its approach. Hopefully this is what is carried across throughout the whole website. So I'm going to go on to the next page here, the features page. Okay, that's great. I like the way the sections are all consistent. That is great. Okay, so it looks like this is the style that we have for the page titles, which is great because I can see now some consistency there. Okay, yeah, this page is fine. FAQs. Okay, again, that is fine. And again, the blog layout I think is fine too. Now over here, the subscribe to our newsletter. More can be done on this design. This doesn't look like a lot of design effort was put onto this. I would actually make this look even much better. First of all, why should people subscribe to your newsletter? I mean, why? There isn't a reason here or an incentive for anyone to want to subscribe to a newsletter, because the reason why you want to part with your email is because you're getting something beneficial from the website. So it could be subscribe to my newsletter and I'll share with you, tips to, improve your website design. That's an incentive. Well, whereas this is not really an incentive to want to, subscribe to that. And I'm pretty sure that if you take a look at your conversion rate, you'll realize that very few people would, sign into this. Okay, my account. Okay. Right. The contact us. The icons that I used here are not consistent with the icons that we had on the main page. So I would go ahead and address that immediately because now we've lost the consistency. And then over here, now we're using this section divider, which is different from what we had on the main page. And again, that takes away the consistency. And it's also cutting off this part of this form. I like what you did with the form here. It's different. It's unique. You can't tell that it's Divi that you're using for the form, which is great. Okay, so overall, I would say great effort. Just go ahead and fix those few things that I've just mentioned. And especially here on this area here, okay? Download free ebook. I would have a section, which is like a normal section, which has maybe even the picture of the ebook, and not over design this area here by adding these section dividers, because what you have here is brilliant on the top here. So I would pretty much keep that. And then these section dividers, you want to make sure that you use the same style throughout your website, okay? Don't use more than 3 or more than 2 different types of section dividers. But other than that, I think that's great. And yeah, I'll say great effort. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on to our next website. And this website was submitted by Yusuf. In fact, before we go into that, I'm just going to take a quick look here and see. Mark here says, isn't there a workaround for sending emails to more than one email address via your web hosting? There is a workaround, but the moment you start doing that, your emails will be marked as spam, because these web hosting companies are not email service providers. So if they detect that there's so many emails coming from your hosting provider, yeah, I mean you might be blacklisted. It's happened to me a few times before, and that is why I moved on to ConvertKit or any email autoresponder service. That is very, very important that you do that, because you will be marked as spam if you did that. Okay, so I'm going to do the last website now, and this website is submitted by Yusuf. Okay, so the website here submitted by Yusuf is right. So this is the website. Looks like it's in Arabic, I think. But nevertheless, I'm just going to take a look at the design aspect of this website and make my suggestions based on that. So if I take a quick look here at this website, first of all, we have these two humps. I don't think they are necessary, to be there. I would remove these humps. If you want to use any section dividers, make sure that you adjust your height, because what you have here, doesn't really work. So I would fix that. Okay, moving on. The way you have these three cakes, one on top of the other in one column, I would change that and have them in one row. So have them like the first one here, the second one here, and the third one there. In terms of layout, that would look much better. And secondly, this is a cake. This website is about cakes. These cakes needs to be nice and big, okay? Because right now you've had it in this very small rectangle here. I would have it nice and big, because that's the focus. Every time you have a website that has food or even cakes, you want to make sure that you showcase that particular product. Okay, so the way you've done it here can be improved. And then over here, I think okay, this is the store. What you've done as well is the row width is way too much. It's going way too close to the edge here. And I would do more on these images, to be honest. I would show more of the image and show less of this color. We're not really concerned about this color. We really want these cakes to really be the most important thing that we look at when we come to this website. And also, if I click here, this is going to an image of the cake. Why show an image of the cake on a separate page? I would actually, put an effort in making this image or making this cake nice and big here before I can actually click to buy it. Okay. So let's say, wow. Again, when I looked at this website, I thought this was like an e-commerce website, but the more I click these links, it's actually taking me to several places. Right. So if you're going to make this website an e-commerce website, you really need to use WooCommerce so that people are able to buy these cakes from your website. Because what you've done here is some of these links are going to Messenger. I don't think that'll be the customer journey where you go to their website and as soon as you click a cake, it takes you to Messenger like how it is here. I mean, why would I want to go to Messenger? I want to buy the cake, right? Unless maybe this button here doesn't say buy now. But just by looking at this shopping cart icon, I would assume that this is like a buy now thing. So that is why I would use an e-commerce solution, which is WooCommerce. And then looking over here, these icons are way too big and there's no need to have this shadow over here because it's not highlighting anything. I would actually have these icons as they are on a white background. That's fine. Okay, so this Instagram is okay. On the bottom here, again, you have these drop shadows. You don't really need these drop shadows. And also, this testimonial needs to be, you need to have like a width that works, because right now it looks like the text between these testimonials is way too close, right? So I would actually redesign this and give it some breathing space, maybe even give it a bit of color, because there's too much white space on this page. And then over here, this map, ideally when you use maps, it needs to have the pointer of where that location is. And as I can see here, there isn't any indication of that. So you may want to look at your Maps API to resolve that. And also, it would look nicer if this map covered the whole section of this page. Okay, so moving on. Oh, in fact, we have a store here. So again, if I click here, it's just showing me the image. So this is not working as a store. And then if I come over here to About Us, I know there's some text here, but there's no, oh, is this an image? Okay. On the About Us, I would want to show more of the images of what the company does, the directors or the founders of the company, but we just have this map, you know? And to be honest, if it's about us, you want to put more context to what your company does or what this website is about, rather than take all this space here with this map. Okay, and social media. And again, this social media, ideally, I would just have icons here on the navigation to link me to all the social media places. So I would go in and revise those things that I've mentioned. If you're selling products like fruits or vegetables or even cakes, that image of the cake needs to be nice and big, because that's the first thing that people want to see. And your call to actions on these products need to be very easy to follow and seamless. So if you want to buy a cake, someone should be able to just click on the cake, buy it, rather than go to Messenger or go into a slider. So I would actually use an e-commerce plugin called WooCommerce and turn this website into a proper e-commerce website, because right now, as it stands, it doesn't really work. And the colors as well, I would use colors that work well with baking. So these are your dark browns, your oranges, your browns. Those are the sort of colors that work with this. So I would go in and revise my color palette and start designing with that color palette throughout this site. Okay. So pretty much that's all I have to say for this website. So there's a bit of work that needs to be done there. Make sure you go in and make those updates. Okay, so that's all I have for today. Oh, hang on. We have some... we have some comments here. Adam says, morning. Good morning, Adam. In fact, Adam, you're joining us as we're just about to round off the show. But nevertheless, you can always go and watch it from the beginning. Today, I reviewed... how many did I review? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 websites. Okay. Okay. So you can always go ahead and watch from the beginning. Right. Adam also says everything looks squashed, not much space. Totally agree with you. There's not a lot of space there. Oh, I see Yusuf here is in the comments. Oh, Yusuf says because the owner don't have a bank account. Okay, so even if the owner doesn't have a bank account, making those images go to Messenger doesn't really solve the problem either. or going to a slider doesn't really solve it. So I guess perhaps you may want to go back to the client and just advise them that they need to actually have a solution. If they're going to be selling cakes, they need to have a way that people want to buy. Okay, so that would definitely work well. Okay, Yusuf says, so people need to communicate with him via Facebook. Okay. So I guess, if it's, if that's what the client wants, I guess maybe that's what works for them, because I was basically doing this review of this website based on the fact that it looked like an e-commerce website. So I was just suggesting that, that's what you need, an e-commerce plugin, WooCommerce, and that will solve this problem. Okay, so I can see Brenda here has just joined me. Brenda, this video will be on my YouTube channel. So if you go in there, you'll be able to just play that video. So after every live show, I leave these videos on there so that those of you that have missed it can always go back and watch the replay. Adam, yes, as soon as you're ready, Adam, just send me your website and I can do a review for you. All right, so it's been great reviewing these websites. So I'd like to say to each and every one of you that joined me today, and those of you that are going to watch the replay, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want your website reviewed, please go to the link which is in the video description below. And I will add your website to the list of websites that need to be reviewed, and I'll do them in the order that they are submitted. So, and again, this episode was made possible by divicake.com. Check out the huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link is in the description below. All right, so I know quite a lot of you were expecting to see me yesterday. I really apologize. I had a few technical problems. So that is why I decided to have this show today, but everything should be back to normal. I'll be here again live on Saturday, same time, 11 a.m. if you are in the UK, and 6 a.m. Eastern. That's the time I'll be broadcasting. So I'll be taking a look at even more websites to review. So that's going to be on Saturday. So Saturday, make a mark in your calendar, and I'll be doing some more reviews. And those of you who want to take your design skills to the next level, I also have a 50% discount on the Divi Blueprint 3 course. Now, if you buy this course now, you have the opportunity to be a member of Divi University. So the future course, which is the advanced course on how to design websites with Divi, you automatically get that course absolutely free. So if you get it now, you have the opportunity to get this updated course very, very soon. Now, the reason why the updated course has not been published yet is because I don't know if you know this, but WordPress is making major updates to Gutenberg, which is the new sort of like way that people are going to be using WordPress moving forward. In fact, I've done a video about that. And also Divi is making some major changes to make sure that this integration works well together. So I'm just waiting for that to be solid before I make this new course. This course is going to be called this course is going to be called a Web Design Formula, and this will pretty much go even in more detail in how to design a professional looking website. So this course is going to cost way more than the cost of the course that I have right now, the Divi Blueprint 3 course. So by buying Divi Blueprint 3 course right now, this will automatically lead you into the course that I'll be selling once that one is out. So once that course is out, it's going to probably cost around $497 because I'm going to add so much information into that course and a lot of support towards it. So with the discount, if you buy Divi Blueprint 3 now, it's only $148. So that will give you access to the major course that I'll be releasing very, very soon. So that's the advantages of getting Divi Blueprint 3. All right, so Brenda says, I have Divi Blueprint 3. That is fantastic because you automatically get access to web design formula. So this is pretty much the formula of designing awesome looking websites. This will cover quite a lot, including SEO. It's going to cover things like color theory, design, typography, photography, Photoshop. There's going to be a lot in that course. So you've done a great job, Brenda, because that's going to lead you straight into the updated course. Okay. Philip says, thanks for the sessions. Thank you very much for tuning in, Philip. Really appreciate it. Mark says, hi again. Do you know much about building directory websites? Actually, if you had asked me this question, let's say a few weeks ago, I would have said, no, you need to use a plugin or you need to use a programmer that knows how to use PHP. But you know what? I have great news for you. And that is, I managed to speak to a company called On The Go Systems. They have a plugin called Toolset. Now, this plugin allows you to create a directory type website. In fact, I had an interview with the CEO of this company. It was a very great interview. In fact, I'm editing it. I'll be publishing it very, very soon. So this allows you to build dynamic websites. So this is the type of websites where you can have directories, you can have, you can specify, it's called custom post type. So you can specify what you want to have on the website. So let's say a client comes to you and says, I want a website, a car sales website, for example, and I want the ability to search these websites based on the engine size or based on the color of the website of the car. This can be actually done pretty much step by step without any programming skills. So I'll be doing a lot of these tutorials in the upcoming tutorials, because this is where now you move from designing basic standard websites to dynamic websites. Even better, you can actually have a website where people can actually submit their content onto your directory and also have a map of where those locations are. It's fantastic. So this should be coming out very soon. In fact, I'm also doing the training with the company. So I'm actually learning how to use the plugin so that I can, also show you how to design dynamic websites. Okay. Adam says, would you consider Q&A shows in the future, or maybe at the end of these shows? Yes, absolutely. I mean, this channel is all about trying to engage everyone, those that have questions, those that want to ask me, things. I'm really looking forward to that. So if this is something that a lot of people need, definitely I will add a Q&A session. Perhaps maybe we can have a live Q&A on a specific date. I'm going to try and see if that works next week. So for those of you that are not signed up onto the mailing list, please do sign up, because that is where I send out information. So I think that's a very good idea. So I will pencil this down and have a Q&A session. And I will choose a day in the week that will have this Q&A session. Maybe even Thursday. Thursday could do. In fact, you know what? I will send out an email and see which date will be best for a Q&A session. But that's a very good idea. I don't mind doing Q&As, and I think that's a great opportunity for everyone to ask questions. So I can do that Q&A session. Mark says, can I email you direct? Have more questions? Yes, Mark, you can send me your questions. In fact, I'll just add my email in here. Okay, that's my email address, mac@makita.co.uk. Right. Let's see if I've missed something. Okay, so it looks like all the questions have been answered. Okay, so thank you very much for tuning in. I really enjoyed these website reviews, and I hope I don't come across too harsh, but I'm doing this to pretty much, help you improve these websites more from a design point of view, because I would like you to succeed in your endeavors when it comes to web design. So that's where it's coming from. I'm not, if I come across harsh, please don't take it personal. I'd really like you to, design these beautiful websites. So that is why sometimes I go deep and talk about the specifics of what needs to be changed on the website. So I hope it goes down very well with you guys. But thank you very much for tuning in. I will see you again on Saturday, 6 a.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. UK time. So thank you very much again for watching, and I'll see you again on Saturday. Cheers.